selling shoelaces, fans, pencils, and salted twists of dough, which smelled so good Lillian had to cover her mouth and swallow hard. The first thing she would see when she finally got to Great Jones Street was a woman in her nightgown and a man's overcoat, weeping. Lillian watched the woman open a folding chair and take a china plate from her pocket and hold it on her lap. People passed by and put a few coins in the plate. Cousin Frida had run down the stairs and hugged Lillian. "Dear little Lillian," she said, "my home is your home." Frida was 30. Lillian remembered her from a family wedding when Frida took her into the woods and they picked wild raspberries until it was dark. Lillian watched the woman across the street, sitting stock still in the chair, tears flowing down her face onto her large, loose breasts, dripping onto the plate with the coins. "Eviction," Frida said. "You can't pay, you can't stay." She said in Yiddish, "Es ist schwer zu machen a Leben." It's hard to make a living. She wanted to make sure Lillian understood. She didn't want Lillian to be frightened. She said everything would work out fine between them, but Lillian should see right away how it's nothing to go from having a home, which Lillian does now with her cousin Frida, to having no home at all, like the woman over there who was thrown out this morning. Lillian did see. Frida took Lillian by the hand and crossed the street. She put a penny in the plate and said, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Lipkin." Taking Lillian up the stairs to her apartment, Frida said to Lillian, "Poor thing," and she gestured over her shoulder to a small room filled with a bed and 2 wooden crates. "You share with Judith." The lesson of Mrs. Lipkin was not lost on Lillian, still holding everything she had in Yitzhak Nierenberg's leather satchel. In the 57 blocks of the Lower East Side, just that day, in July 1924, there are 112 candy shops, 93 butchers, 70 saloons, 43 bakeries, and 500,000 Jews. When Lillian looks out the kitchen window, the only window, she sees opportunity. She waits at the door of the theater, trying to feel a warm sun beating down on her, drying her knickers. If she gets this job, she'll buy Judith a little something. The first time Judith ever really spoke to Lillian was a week ago. 2 pins dangled in the corner of her mouth. They bobbed up and down as Judith worked, moving only a little when she whispered to Lillian that they were hiring seamstresses the next Sunday at the Goldfaden Theater. Every girl in the city from Delancey to 14th Street would go. Judith was on her way to being an American girl. She gave away her shawl. She told Lillian she gave it away. She wanted so bad to be rid of it, and bought a little blue jacket at Kresge's. Judith has the American shoes and the green blouse she bought from the vendor, irregular but very good, and she's learning English very fast. To Lillian, Judith's English is good already. It's like something you hear on the radio. On the way to the Goldfaden, Judith had steered them past piles of horse shit and crying children and men selling fireworks, and they stopped for hot dogs and mustard and sauerkraut, and the man gave them extra because Judith has a way about her. That's what she said to Lillian. "I have a way about me." As one might say, I am right-handed. Lillian might have a way about her, too. Back in Turov, there were people who thought she had a way about her, but not here. In English, she is the ugly stepchild. People are not inspired to give her things. They don't even want to be where they are. They don't even want her to be where they are looking. That's what it's like. She dreams of the murder of her family. She wakes to the sound of her own screaming and to Judith's warm body. She eats bread and cabbage with strangers in a small, dirty room. She puts in and takes out stitches to make cheap hats, puts together blue petals and takes apart flawed silk flowers, and she does it all badly. She learns the language of a country that terrifies her so that she can dig She learns the language of a country that terrifies her so that she can dig deeper into it.